And we are live. So, welcome everybody to the Sunday Sessions number 2. This will be our second Sunday Sessions that Dave and I actually talked about doing best part of about 2 years ago, I do believe. It was actually quite a while ago. We did actually talk about doing all this because we used to sit with each other on a Sunday, and granted, you know, we was just having a laugh and a giggle and all the rest of it. We'd talk about weekly happenings around the world, and we'd laugh and joke and take the piss out of it, basically. Like, so, you know, it was. And I said to Dave, do you know what? We should actually do this as like a podcast sort of thing or a live. You know what I mean? Yeah, I did say it, didn't I? And well, as life goes, you get distracted and so on and so forth. So, you know, we got there eventually, Dave. We got there eventually, and now we're here. So. And may I introduce, as you can see, this is Dave over here, Davidos, and this is my good friend Joe. So we've all known each other for quite a number of years as well, actually. So we're quite well known with each other. And like Joe will tell you as well, Joe knows Dave through me because I used to talk about Dave all the time. Like, you know, it's kind of one of them situations.
Yeah.
Like, so
First time I've ever seen Dave live, but I feel like I've already known you years. I know all sorts about you in a good way, though. In a good way.
That's good.
Yeah, and I'll apologise and I'll excuse myself right now for the minute, just because I've got some chicken pop dips that I'm currently eating in the background. So if the camera just disappear off like this, it's because I'm just taking a little. But once they're finished, obviously, then I'll be back on again straight away. So, but yeah, as you can see, we've got a couple of decent topics up here today that we can talk upon, which are this week. I've got myself familiar with a guy calls himself Max Vision Astral Projection, Astral Viewing. And go up to his channel and have a look at what he does. But he's put me on to doing some grounding devices, so it helps you to basically ground yourself and prevent signals, Wi-Fi signals, etc., external things from attacking you. But that also comes with, they're not just like a one-step solution to everything. You obviously have to do various other things, like, for example, going off to the woods and having a 20-minute stroll off in the woods where there is nothing around you to bombard you with these signals and frequencies and etc. Which is one big topic I've been talking about for this past couple of 3 weeks as well, which is how frequencies, wavelengths, etc., they all affect us on a molecular level, you know. So yeah, how they can have a negative impact. This week I've been talking with a lot of people about how 5G network system. Now, I know there was a couple of years ago, we all know there was a big kind of like hoo-ha about all this as well, like people protesting against it, contesting it, etc. And there's a lot of evidence behind it saying that the 5G signal, it affects all bio-life, all plants, ourselves, etc. And digging into this more recently, because it seems to have dispersed and disappeared. Have you not noticed? It's though it's been swept under the rug. Yeah. And when you actually do some digging upon this as well, they actually rolled out the 5G when we had the lockdowns, right? We know what the lockdowns were. Yeah. We don't need to talk about what the lockdowns were. We all know what the lockdowns were about. So, you know, just for the YouTube algorithm, we'll prevent that from shutting us down. But they did that very clandestinely, as in like under our noses, but like you all go and hide in your homes for the minute, like while we go and do this. Now that sounds very nefarious in itself. And like I say, some more digging upon this myself recently, this past few days, it's become more and more apparent to me that that the 5G network, it tracks your location. Like,
yes, it does.
For example, it bounces the signal into your home, and it knows where all the objects are in your home. It knows where your chair is. It knows where your bed is. It knows where all the objects are. Plus, it can track you in your home as well. So therefore, they've got like a visual image from the signals being sent to and from on the 5G, that it gives them some profound information. And that also leads into what frequencies and whatnot they can use within this to actually change your mental state, your physical state within doing what they're doing within all that as well. So yeah, there's a big thing about that as well. Hello, Hallie, in the chat. Only me and Doug. She's a good friend from various other channels as well. Actually, she's a big part of like the urbexing and the paranormal side of stuff as well. Like she's known me for about 2-3 years now. I think maybe a bit longer actually, to be honest. But Ali, only me and the Doug. Yeah, she's a good follower. And anybody else that's joined today, thank you very much. It's much obliged. So, Dave, firstly, come on, tell us about your gateway experience. Give us some more information about what you've been doing with that recently, and your experience in the past about it as well. Like,
well, I've actually been exploring into different ways of spiritual enlightenment and things like that, and how to actually train the brain. So, just a little bit of background. When I was about 20 years old, I was an absolute. My mind was running all over the place, and I was basically not under control, as it were. So I decided to go and figure out, I wonder if there's a way to actually control this electrochemical meatball that's in my mind, and figure out how to actually get it under my own control. This is where I actually started I started reading books and started going into meditation and spiritual practices, started learning all kinds of different things. Breath work, went into Tantra, and yeah, now I'm actually going back into certain practices. And I found on my studies, or on my jaunts on the internet to figure out what is actually out there and available, I found the Gateway Experience, and it's done by the Monroe Institute. And they have loads of tapes, and there's some on YouTube at the moment. There's the entire sequence on YouTube that you can view free, or you can go down and go to the Monroe Institute and buy the entire course, and you get you actually get help and support and everything else. But that's £1,100 or $1,100 the entire program, and it's like an 8-week program which you can actually go through and get fully trained in this thing. And I, with also doing the, I was also doing the mind training by Sylvia, Dr. Jose Sylvia, the mind control, Sylvia mind control method, where you learn how to go from your physical relaxation to your mental relaxation, and then down into your laboratory level. This is where you can actually do your thinking, your planning, your neuro-linguistic programming sort of thing. So it was more of a practical way for me to gain control of my mind over a period of time. So for years, when I started, I was like, oh, this is actually really good. So for 6 months, I did the Jose Sylvia mind control method. I read his book and I studied his tapes, and I actually went through and did the exercises. And eventually I got to a point where I could actually come down to my laboratory level instantaneously. I could just breathe in. And I actually instantly calmer. The difference between the Sylvia method and the Gateway Experience is that the Gateway Experience seems to go the opposite way and builds on different waves. So what it does is it actually activates higher states of consciousness, higher states of awakening, and higher states of being by using sound frequencies and sound therapy, which you can use to access different parts of your mind. So this, through brain training and through actually training yourself, you're able to access higher dimensions, higher consciousness, and able to access more parts of your brain. So this is where my research came into. I was like, ooh, this is really interesting. Let's have a look at this. Yeah. There's
And
also
go on. Sorry, carry on.
there's also a cool book as well, which I haven't really just found, but it's also part of the entire experience sort of thing. It's made from a dude called Isaac Bentov, and he made a book called Stalking the Wild Pendulum on the Mechanics of Consciousness. And he actually did a body of research in 1975. And this is what most of the gateway experience and other experiments were done on the consciousness and how to actually raise the kundalini and spirituality sort of thing, to actually raise it from the base of the spine all the way up to the brain. That's where most of the
Santa Claus, the Klaus,
yeah,
the Santa Claus, yeah.
Father Christos.
Just as a little nugget there for people to go off and search this and do a bit more digging upon that as well. If you actually search the true meaning of Santa Claus and the claustrum, right, it actually talks about the magnetite crystals that we got around the back of our heads, and how we can secrete all the the chemicals that we produce naturally in our brains. Obviously, when you have sex, etc., what you're doing is you're using them and depleting them. You do replace them, but it takes a while, obviously, for your brain to replace them. But if you don't, if you sit in abstinence, etc., what you do is you recycle all of that back into your body, if that makes sense. Like so, yeah. And Dave told me about this previously, and when he first told me about all this, I will admit I was a bit like, "Are you mental?"
Everyone's always usually skeptical at the person that's actually doing it, and then until everyone goes, "Oh, okay, no problem. Now that's the actual way you're meant to do it." And then the thing is, when I was doing my research, I was like, okay, so I had really good mental clarity and everything, but I didn't have sort of like the fuel, as it were, to do manifestation or to do actual breath work. So what I had to do is to basically do something called seminal retention for 1 year minimum. So what happens is, when you do seminal retention for 1 year minimum, what happens is a seed, after 4 days of retaining, you need to learn something called pranayama, okay, which is the breath work where you cycle the energy from the sexual organs all the way up through the spine. You need to do this because it will, because the passageways are all blocked up, you have to force the sexual energy up into the spine. And if you don't do that in the first month or so, you'll get something called blue ball, which is where it just pulls and pulls and pulls, because you're just essentially leaving the energy there and leaving it to stagnate. So what you need to do is you need to start cycling that energy constantly. So after 4 days of retaining, a seed, sort of like a squishy sac, is created by your solar plexus on your spine. So on your back, after 4.5 days, so this squishy part comes out and gets secreted onto your back, and it takes 29.5 days to raise all the way up to your pineal gland. Once that is done, what happens is that actually fills up. And then I remember 3-4 months in, I could feel I was doing this. I was like, wow, I can actually feel that in my mind shaking about. It was like a half empty can or something like that. I was like, ooh, this is fun. And then when so it carried on, and then it actually filled up, and it keeps doing this until it's completely full. So after 12 months, 13 cycles, what happens is that the pineal gland is now completely full, and it's rock solid. It's like a stone. And then that secretes all the Christic oil all the way out, up through the top of the crown and all the way down, and it's stored in your kidneys, where you can then do your work from. So this is where the tantric work and the preparation, this is where I'm actually at the moment. I'm actually preparing myself, because I realized that I'm not actually strong enough to do things. So now I'm actually going into the physical preparation of being able to strengthen myself and strengthen my loins to the point where I can do my work. Which is absolute madness. So this Christic oil, okay, actually after the 12 months, what happens is it gets secreted from your brain, and then it goes into the different organs and it replenishes the different organs. So, and also, do you remember when you were saying earlier on, Sab, that it protect, like with the EMF frequencies?
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, when you retain your seed, it actually protects you magnetically from these EMF frequencies. It's a natural protection barrier.
I love the way you call it.
You know? So really, okay, like, yeah, it doesn't matter if the EMF frequencies are actually out there.
Yeah,
It
Dave,
really doesn't affect me.
So now I totally get what you're saying, but the way I see all that coming across is like from more of a male perspective on that sort of thing. What is it the same on a female perspective? If the do you know what I'm saying here? Like, yeah.
Yes.
So, obviously, our reproductive organs are different. They're set up different. They act different. We don't have we don't have the same kind of monthly cycle as a female does. So
no.
Don't let's not even go there about what a female is, folks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We know.
We're talking biology 101 here. Like, you know what I'm saying? So anyway,
but essentially,
what's your take on that? What would be the like kind of if you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Essentially, it's the same, because the Christic oil actually gets created, and this is why men think that women can read our minds, because what happens is the electrical connection between women and men, they know, because their intuition is stronger. Their system is a closed loop system, so there's no way of anything to actually get out. So when women have orgasms, what happens is it short circuits the system, it damages the system, but then it flushes through and it
resets. Resets again. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So that's the way it happens. But the thing is, when, as you were saying earlier, you need to join sexually and not waste it and actually regenerate. So essentially, all the women, okay, are ready. It's the men that need to prepare themselves, okay, so they're actually able to do the work, if you understand where I'm coming from, because most of the women haven't actually. I was reading a book earlier, and apparently 93% of women have never experienced an orgasm.
True orgasm,
85% are really like they're really unsatisfied with the size of their husband's manhood. It's actually and I was reading up on this. I was like, okay, now this is cool. So how do I prepare myself to actually be able to do this? And this is where the path of Tantra comes in, because it's using tantric practices from old and actual meditative practices, using breath work and everything else to control that energy and raise it instead of it actually expelling and actually taking it out. So this is the whole point of this work, so basically what happens when both men and women are joined in union, you're essentially creating a battery. So it's like a negative and a positive charge. Yeah. And then when you connect, you're essentially creating both ends, and then the energy can actually create. So the men take the female energy, the female energy takes the male energy. And then what happens is that when both parties are expressing the same sort of feelings, same love, and the breath work and the meditation are able to control that energy, that's when the Kundalini rises in both parties. The thing is,
Hang on a
neither
minute, Dave.
part, if one
Dave,
party.
Dave, Uncle Dave wants to tell you how babies are made.
No, this isn't how babies are made. This isn't how babies are made. This is how the spiritual work is done. So this is exactly how the spiritual work is done. This is how to birth your soul, essentially. And so the sexual union happens, and then if one person is out of balance, the other person pushes that energy out of the way, and the other person loses that energy. So it's important that both parties, both male and female, that are actually working together to actually create this union sort of thing. And more often than not, it's the male side that needs practice, that needs preparation, because on average statistics, the average man ejaculates in 3 minutes, and it takes about 15 minutes for a woman to actually even get aroused.
Yeah, 2.5 for men and about 20 for women.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the man that actually needs the practice, that needs the preparation, and needs to actually calm down, as it were, and to be able to look at the subtle energies and then be able to actually bring that energy around and actually work in unison. This is why all the tantra, all the breathing, all the meditation, all the knowledge has been given to everybody, yet no one uses it.
Yeah. And by the way, when we're talking about subjects and topics, etc., what I'll do is, as we are talking about them, I post links that refer and go. You can go and do your bit of own research upon this. So, for example, talking about the gateway there earlier on, I posted a link to the gateway experience on the YouTube that you can follow along yourself if you wish to get involved in all of that. There's like Dave's talking about right now with Tantra, etc. I've put it's called Tantra Illuminated. It's from the Goodreads books, and that gives a good outline of the history, the practices, etc., etc. So I'll try and do that as we're going along in chat as well. So Ali's got a question for you.
Go on.
What about when some people have that spark of feeling and they know that person is the one at first sight? What's the love at first sight situation? Do you know that?
Well, the love at first sight is more of the energy connection. So
I was that was going to be my answer. Yeah, it's basically like your Merkaba, your energy, your aura, your energy field that you have around you.
Right.
If you have a similar kind of energy field, then obviously you're going to be attracted to each other. If someone's got a negative energy field and you've got a positive, obviously you're gonna repel off that light. So yeah, that's my answer.
That is exactly that. That is exactly that. So when obviously opposites attract, but when you're essentially at the same frequency, or you're at the same energy level, or both of you actually have that kind of energy attraction, your internal, your the part of you that animates your body knows this, and will put you in situations that actually will. So basically, you meet somebody like, oh wow, like you really like I feel like butterflies and stuff like that. That's the energy flowing. It's like, ooh, this is actually really cool. And I urge you to follow that feeling every single time. You know, if somebody makes you feel that, it's like, yeah, cool. Explore it, pursue it.
That kind of goes along with the same lines of like, I mean, we've all experienced it. Like, say for instance, like the same situation, Joe. When I used to live in Stoke-on-Trent, we was in groups of people. And we'd all like go and converge in a group of people at various people, different houses. Dave knows when I first moved down here, it was the same sort of situation. I basically moved from one area to another, but I still had that kind of, you know, I was reaching out for various different crews, connections, people. Yeah. Put myself in a lot of different, you know what it was like, Joe. You know, I've always bounced around. Yeah, I've always been very.
You've never been part of just one group. You've been part of multiple groups, and then like the layovers.
We've all experienced the situation of walking into a room and it's got this bad energy. It's got this negative kind of like you could cut the air with you could cut the atmosphere with a nice sort of situation. You know what I mean? So we all have it. We're all in tune. We're all instinctively. We all have that. So Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I'm good at picking up on vibes. If I walk into a room and I'll know if it's a bad atmosphere, even if nobody else does, and it's like, you know, the handbag theory, right, I'm off, I'm not. Do you get where I'm coming from? Because those vibes aren't good, and 9 times out of 10, that has kept me safe, as that, like Dave said, intuition, and I've gone.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've had it recently because now I don't want to dig into this too deep, but and maybe it's been a social construct of conditioning of mind, we'll call it. But my little girl went off, and we allowed it as well. And she went off to another little girl's house that she used to go to nursery with. Now she's at dance group. These two, obviously, they've seen each other at dance group, and the mum. Now there was little things that caught my attention, but it only clicked pretty much after or during the experience, we'll call it. So she's off at this little girl's house. Now, I'm not racist, I'm not prejudiced in any way whatsoever. Everybody who knows me knows this as well. Like, that's why I brought good people on who know me for many years, who can actually testify. I don't hold grudges. I give a lot of people the benefit of the doubt. For example, Stephen Dando. Do you know what I mean? Some people come into your life, you give them the benefit of the doubt, and it turns out they're a sour egg. You know what I mean? They end up being that real that negative. But yeah, recently, I don't know, maybe intuition, or maybe it was just my own stupid thing out. But she was off at this little girl's house, and how can I explain this without going like too deep into it? Now, Joe can kind of back me up on this, and maybe it is just me. Maybe I'm wrong in thinking what I was thinking, and everything seems to have turned out okay afterwards. Don't get me wrong, but from now on, I was thinking, I can't let my child go and stay at this person's house. One, because I don't really know these people fully, and I don't know the full circumstances. But the wife of the couple of the child, she was the guy's English, Muslim from Pakistan originally. But he went over when he was in his early 20s and made out that he was, he's very well-to-do and everything. And he kind of like, it was an arranged marriage. She doesn't even really speak that much English, so to speak. And that kind of, maybe, what's one word, one name I can point out to you that probably spun my head off the way it went off? Tommy Robinson. Do you get me? And everything that kind of alludes to what he goes on, but maybe it was kind of like, because I got that in the back of my head, I'm starting to think, hang on, you just don't know. Because if their little girl and our little girl both disappeared at the same time, they could hold their hands up and go, oh, well, you know, it's nothing to do with us because our little girl's gone missing as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it's just fatherly. I suppose it's just like a fatherly instinct as well. I'm just too cautious now. Like, you know, I'm like, every hour I'm like, can you ring and make sure she's all right? Can you ring and make sure she's all right? I was like, but that little girl's the apple of my eye. Like, so maybe, you know what I mean? It was just one of them. Like, but as you're saying, the instinct and that kind of, you know, that feeling, it was just niggling at me. It was just proper niggling away in my head. Like, yeah. So, but no,
if you've got something niggling away in the back of your head, then that's your body's way of telling you to keep checking in with something, that something is off, even if you can't put your finger on it. You know, and it doesn't matter whether we're male or female, or we pick up on it a bit quicker than, you know, one gender to the next. We all have that intuition. And the more we listen to that intuition, the more in tune we become with that intuition, sorry.
It amplifies it, like, and you become, like you said, you become more in tune with it. But, you know, I put it down to just me overthinking things, basically. Like, do you know what I mean? I put it down to that. But obviously in future now, I'm going to set that path out a little bit different, so it's not a hindrance, because I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, I don't want my little girl not taking part on being in different cultures and I wanted to see all that. I wanted to be like, do you know what I mean, having friends and going stay, you know what I mean, all that kind of, yeah. I think, yeah, it's just being part of a father. Wait until she gets older. I know, we've got a 14-year-old here. I'm not joking, Ali. Oh my God, it was a birthday this week. She wanted to go camping, right? So she's got, and everybody knows what I'm like about me camping stuff. That's like the holy grail sort of stuff for me.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Yeah, it's like, and she's like, can I borrow your tent? And I'm like, go on then. And yeah, she's gone camping, but she's got so dolled up before, and I'm like, you ain't going camping all dressed up and dolled up with your hair. Yeah. Like, what the hell? But
yeah, kid after me all night, Sam, getting her eyebrows done and all the rest of it to go stand on top of a mountain with a selfie stick. Yeah, gotta be done. Gotta be done.
Oh, that's what I used to do. Like, hi, how you doing? Like, I'm going out. It's my birthday. Yeah, sure, not a problem. It's like, where are you? Oh, I'm just in a field somewhere, dying of alcohol poisoning.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Just joking about the vodka.
Here's one for you. So here's one for you. I'm just going to show you this at the minute. Like, where is it? Full screen layout. Right, it's here. I'm just going to show you this. Hang on 2 seconds while I What do you think about this?
This new AI tool is going to let you control your dreams. And no, I'm not joking. It's called Morpheus 1, and their goal is to help people both enter a lucid dream state and stabilize that dream. This is when you're aware you're dreaming and can't do anything because you know it isn't real anyways. You basically put this halo-like headband around your head, and these advanced sensors will detect brainwaves while you're sleeping. The device will then utilize ultrasound beams to stimulate certain parts in your brain that are associated with conscious dreaming, otherwise known as lucid dreaming. It's going to start rolling out this spring, and it made an interesting video about how it works. Comment dream and I'll send it over to you.
And the reason I bring this up is because I and Dave and Joel probably testify to this as well. But when you've intoxicated I'm going to say this the best way I can without the YouTube getting onto this. But when you've intoxicated your whole system, your whole body, yeah, and from smoking, yeah, we'll say it that way. So I used to intoxify myself as well through smoking. Certain products, we'll call it, yeah, gardening equipment, we'll call it.
That's a term I've never heard.
Yeah, and Joe used to as well. But yeah, I used to do a lot of gardening equipment smoking, and yeah, and I used to be heavy on it as well. I used to smoke on the old chungalong, etc. I didn't smoke the old roll-ups and whatnot, if you get my drift.
Yeah, I were on the same sort of stuff with the equipment, gardening equipment. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you stop all that and you actually start clearing your system out, it brings back all your dreams. You start lucid dreaming, etc. And some of them can be very scary. Like I had one the other night where two guys were trying to kidnap my family. Literally, I was hunting these two guys down because I was like, "Where's my wife and kids?" I was until I woke up but then I woke up with like sweats, and I'm like, oh, "Fuck, it was just a dream. Thank God, it was just a dream." But it was so real in the moment. Like, no, this is why
your mind makes it real. That's the thing. Is, do you know, like Matrix says, like your mind makes it real.
Yeah. So I'll play it again.
This new AI tool is going to let you control your dreams. And no, I'm not joking. It's called Morpheus 1, and their goal is to help people both enter a lucid dream state and stabilize that dream. This is when you're aware you're dreaming and can't do anything because you know it isn't real anyways. You basically put this halo-like headband around your head, and these advanced sensors will detect brainwaves while you're sleeping. The device will then utilize ultrasound beams to stimulate certain parts in your brain that are associated with conscious dreaming, otherwise known as lucid dreaming. It's going to start rolling out this spring, and it made an interesting video about how it works. Comment dream and I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, so I can actually do that anyway with the spiritual trading and the meditation and retention and stuff like that now.
Put the link in chat so you can go and have a look at that video. It's on TikTok. I don't really use TikTok all that much, to be honest with you. I don't have Instagram. I try going clicking on any links for Instagram, and it's like, nah. You haven't even got it.
I'll send you some DMs of screen recordings on how to put your stuff up there and how to do it, Sam, because I do live streams and all sorts on there and various types of videos. I'll send you some like tutorial stuff without sounding patronising.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm not clued up with TikTok at all. I've got a couple of little nuggets here and there. But what's your thoughts on that anyway? So lucid dreaming, I mean, I think that's, to be honest, me personally, looking at that video, it sounds like a wonderful device, the Morpheus 1. It sounds like a brilliant device to actually, to enter these lucid dream states and to be able to control, etc., or whatever, like, or maybe even where you can put, now if you think about this as well, Total Recall, the film with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So recall. Now you put yourself into a little machine, and it puts you into a dreamlike state, and you live this life out, etc., etc. You get what I'm saying here? It can condense a whole lifetime of an experience into a 6-hour session, like, so you can have all that experience in one session, like. But I think that's also dangerous to be selling as a gimmick on the market, because like we're saying here, it's all about training your mind. It's all about think what this. Hey, now this also sparks off something as well. The singularity is happening. When men became like gods, we was able to create worlds in the blink of an eye. But psychological problems meant also that everything could be destroyed in the blink of an eye. So that's why I mentioned, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's very, I think that's very profound. Also, Elon Musk was also, he's brought out his new bionic eye. And we also know that he does the neural link where it plugs into your brain. So now I've been on, if you go over to the Neuralink site as well, it is actually a program that people can join, but it's generally, you have to go through a questionnaire on it. I've tried already. You have to go through a questionnaire onto it, which is, do you have paraplegia? Do you have this? Do you get me? Like, yeah, it's only set out for people where they have brain dysfunctions, where it helps them people with brain dysfunctions, or a physical dysfunction where it can help you with that physical dysfunction. If that makes sense. Like, yeah, anybody else, it isn't just for fun and it isn't just for recreation. You can't just buy it. You can't just go into it and have it. Like, you can't just, you know what I mean? It's not like you can just go down to Argos and buy one of these Neuralinks and plug yourself in.
Oh yeah, just plug it in. But to be honest, that's where it's going to go.
Let's face it. But let's face it, 60 years, 70 years ago, everybody had a television in their house. Consoles weren't even a thing then. And when you think about that as well, like computers themselves, like a PC or anything, it was a very privileged, you had to be like a very rich person, very well-to-do person to have like a computer. And even like say TVs and etc., you'd have like a whole street of people that used to converge and come and watch the Queen's speech on the one TV, like the big tube TV. Now, do you get what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. Give it 50 or so, no, maybe not even that nowadays, because technologically speaking, we are advancing faster.
Yeah, it'll be about 20 years, Sab, and it'll be in everybody's living room, and we will be able to order them on click and collect next same day pick up in Argos.
Same day.
No,
we'll be there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just think of something and it's there, like, you know what I mean? It's like it's already ordered there. It'll be with you in an hour. Drones will come and drop it off to you.
They're already doing things like that, even with, you can order your Uber Eats and a drone will come and drop it off.
Yeah, I posted a video
where it starts.
On my other channel. I posted a video where they've got them little robots, you know, they look like cooler boxes. You remember that, Dave? I was in Milton Keynes, and I'm like, I went to Costa Coffee for a coffee while I was at Milton Keynes on the next train, and this little robot thing, it looked like a big cooler with wheels on it and that. Like, it literally went into Costa Coffee. Some woman opened the lid, put 6 coffees into it, and then it went trundling off again to go and deliver. And I was like, for real? It's all real. It's all we're getting now.
It won't take long, you know. We've got Wi-Fi hoovers, Wi-Fi washing machines. Your fridge can order your food for you when you run out of milk. 20 years ago, when me and Sam first met, we all thought that was part of, you know, the Total Recall sort of scenario, you know, where you led back in the trio and you went off in the Matrix kind of deal. That is now real life, and it happens. You know, even those below the poverty line have Wi-Fi these days. It's in everybody's home, and that's how it affects. That's how they manage to affect everybody. 92% of the UK have got one mobile phone, and 89% of us have got 2.
All these Oculuses and whatnot, the VR, the virtual reality headgear, and the rest of it. Think about that. I mean, where's that going to be in 50 years' time? That isn't going to be a device that you put on as a pair of goggles. That's literally just going to be, everyone's going to have like a little implant or something on the temple there, and you literally just plug it in there. Oh, we get that little, plug that in there, and do you know what I mean? Like, world, like, do you know what I'm saying?
You can already get like the Google glasses, you know, where you press your little button on the side of the glasses, and your Google screen will pop up, and nobody else can see it, only you. And they're even to the point now where they can project a holographic image out so everybody can see it, like, you know, similar type of glasses to what Davey's wearing. You know, if they didn't want anybody knowing, then nobody would know.
And this is what's going to happen with the bionic eye as well. So you're going to
Yeah.
actually have able to do night vision, all this thing. It's like augmentation. The thing is, if everyone actually did their work, they'd have all these, and they'd actually have more as well. But the thing is, they don't want to do it. No one wants to do that.
Even that, Dave. I mean, you don't have to work now to have it's not even a television. You've got everything on your phone, and how much do you know what I mean? Anybody, like George says there, anybody even under the poverty line. Look at it in Africa. They don't. Money isn't even. Do you know what I mean? You've got little tribes. They've got devices. They've got phones.
Yeah.
They've got stuff.
Yeah, we've got
tower
blocks. We've got tower blocks over in Leeds, about 15 miles, 12 miles from where I live. You know, social housing owned by the council, and as part of your tenancy, you get Wi-Fi if you live in those set of tower blocks. I think there's about 6 of them, and they're going to roll it out across the city to all the properties, whether it's a semi, whether it's the flats where it's a house converted. What do they call them? Cottage flats, tower blocks, whatever. All those tower blocks now have Wi-Fi as part of their tenancy, so you won't have a choice if you move into those flats, and it'll go nationwide, and it'll happen sooner than people think. Even if you don't want to do that, and you're quite happy with your mobile data that you could turn off, or just no phone. I do know people who do not have a phone, and in the dark ages, as it were, metaphorically speaking, because they've got a landline and they don't want a mobile phone. And to me, that's their right not to have that. But it's being imposed on us. We live in a society where you can't help but be part of this technological advancement, whether it's Google Glasses, whether it's your Wi-Fi, whether it's a mobile, which is a tracking device, in my opinion. We haven't got a choice now, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's actually quite funny. Everyone's like, "Oh, microchips," and then they're there like,
yeah. People complaining. I have friends who complain over the amount of CCTV. And yes, we are one of the most watched countries on earth in terms of CCTV. The average person is caught on camera when they're out and about on a normally daily basis over 600 times in the UK. But they're sat there with, £1,000 phone in their hand, which pinpoints them to within 9 foot. So you don't need to be outside on the CCTV. They can put you in your living room. They can put you in the bathroom. They can put you in bed, and they can turn your mics on remotely and your cameras. So it's.
So that kind of leads me into this as well, right? Yeah, which is it's pretty that pretty much touches upon exactly what we're talking about here. So if they have if they have a direct link, being able to put these waves, vibrations, energies, resonant fields, etc., in and around us, then
somewhat incredible discovery, or I guess more specifically, confirmation that cells inside our bodies seem to vibrate with a very specific frequency, or to be more specific, a resonant frequency or a natural frequency that makes cells vibrate with a larger amplitude in certain frequencies. In other words, they have a natural vibration that hypothetically could even be heard if we had powerful enough instruments. And so,
do you know what I'm saying there? So now you put that into perspective there. So if they're able to actually tune into these resonance and these frequencies, etc., what's to say they couldn't make a device that could literally, and I'm not joking when I say this, if you don't conform to their regime, then they will literally just pump you with this certain frequency. It would turn you into mush. It would literally just turn you into a pool of mush on the floor. Now think about that.
Have you ever heard of black noise?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of black noise?
Yes. I've been touching on that.
That particular frequency is an actual high-end frequency, so powerful that it actually literally disintegrates matter. So there's also a experiment in Nazi Germany. They did sound experiments on prisoners of war and stuff like that, and they found out that it was too effective.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, it was that effective. They couldn't use it in war because it was deemed too inhumane. So, yeah, they've known about this technology for years. You know,
Yeah.
they've known about this for
Yeah.
years. They've known about the damage it can do, and they've known about also how the resonant frequency actually works and stuff like that. But the thing is, they haven't found anybody who's actually strong enough to withstand any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the human body won't be able to withstand that sort of stuff. We are, I think, something like 65% water. We're basically anxious cucumbers, so that type of
Yeah.
vibration would
78%
destroy us.
water.
Yeah,
We're
there you go.
actually
It's even higher. Yeah.
Water, yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're basically anxious cucumbers. You know, so that type of vibration would destroy us.
The thing is, this is why I've been learning how to actually protect myself. And the thing is, with the retention as well, I've noticed that my magnetic field, my aura, my Merkaba, as it were, has actually got that strong that sometimes I can actually feel. I can actually feel like solar flares coming in. I can feel my mind just kind of going, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" And I can actually feel the energy pressing against my mind, and I'm actually pushing it back, sort of thing. Now, if a normal layman who doesn't actually do the spiritual practices, that frequency is just going to push through them, flatten them, like absolutely. It's like, what was it yesterday? Genuinely, yesterday there was a really high energy flare that happened and it hit Earth. It hit kind of Africa, South Africa, and South
Yeah, I've heard of this. Yeah.
Okay.
I could actually feel that energy. I could feel it every day. Like I could feel it, just like, oh, okay.
The Schumann resonance is that if you touch upon that, we've got a natural resonance field around the Earth that's called the Schumann resonance.
Yeah.
And that's generally without going and finding a video for you there and sharing it. It's basically where within our atmosphere of the planet itself, when we have like electrical storms, etc., earthquakes, etc., this creates like a resonance field that bounces on in and around our atmosphere, and that's what causes this natural, what we call Schumann resonance. Right? Yeah.
With those are the natural frequencies of the actual Earth, and they're going like 7, 10. They match our brainwave frequencies. So you've got delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma, in that order. So you've got delta waves, which is 0 to 4 hertz, and then 4 to 8 hertz is theta waves. That's like deep sleep. And then you get alpha waves, which is 8 to 12, and then beta waves, which is 12 to 20, and then gamma waves is 30 and above, 30 to 100 hertz. So those are like the high frequency waves, and then it goes off into everything else. But the thing is, there are frequencies which are connected to our heartbeat, to our blood, to our actual skin. The actual everything is sound, frequency, matter, and consciousness, and it all intertwines into one. Every single atom and molecule has a magnetic field, such as we have a magnetic field, and it all works together. The sun that's sending the energy through energy flares and high-speed streams and coronal holes and stuff that are actually hitting the Earth, that is actually pumping the Earth full of energy at this present moment, and then it's affecting the magnetic.
Everything, it affects everything on a molecular level. Like,
it affects our brain waves, it affects our heart, it affects our actual biological structure, and it also affects all the dimensions, like from 3, 4, 5, all the subtle energies and everything else. It actually affects the Earth. It affects the spiritual side of things and the consciousness, and also astral travel, and the amount of energy that you're having when you do actually astral travel. So essentially what's happening is the Earth is being bombarded with high frequency energy, and these protons are just coming down, absolutely smashing the Earth like whoosh. And there are people who are not protected. there are people who are protected and there are people who are not protected. Okay, because if they haven't done the work, which basically I've done, they're not quite as protected as if they would be if they basically haven't done the work.
Right. So
if they
can I
haven't retained
Yeah,
or anything?
Just pause you there a second because we have just had right. You know, as I was talking about the grounding devices.
Yeah.
So this is one of the topics I actually wanted to touch upon as well. Like, it's only became apparent to me over this past couple of days about these grounding devices, and it is actually G Sharp, smoking in G Sharp. She is one of the other. She was on Max's panel on his live stream as well, and it was they were the two people actually showing me these grounding devices, which is a copper coil goes round. You have a battery attached, etc. And on that note, also I shall introduce Smoking in G Sharp. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to set up my camera here and show you guys what.
But now, see, I don't just have to talk about this. Smoking in G Sharp can actually show us these devices in action and what they do and their effects, etc., etc. So, yeah. Oh, we also have another person who's a good friend of mine as well. He has his own YouTube channel as well. Guys, I'm gonna have to add you as bloody admins now, aren't I? So you can post your links. Yeah, Steve. Oh, you know Steve already then? Oh, I see. See what I mean? I'm part of so many bloody different groups, and like, there's so many people know each other already. This is wonderful. This is. Hi, Steve. How are you doing? Good day to you, sir. He's in Canada, by the way.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Actually, Max Vision made this for me. He's very clever with copper. As you can see, you put it around your head, and those go over your ears. And in the back, we have a little 12 amp battery that what I've done is, let's see if I can get it up there. The back is the negative touching the copper. Okay. And then you cover the positive so you don't get, a little jolt there. So we're just using the negative part of this 12-volt battery, and it takes away my headaches. I'll be sitting here at the computer. I put it on. Sometimes I wear it over my hat and just, as long as it's just touching you somewhere. Yeah, it grounds me.
Nice. That's really cool, actually. So does the copper have to touch the skin?
Yes. Yeah. We're using the negative part of the battery to draw out the positive charges that yeah.
So it's essentially earthing. So you'd actually, if you were walking barefoot on the ground, or
yep, exactly. Yes, it's taking all that positive charges, and also I purchased a really small, teeny waterfall, so I have water running through my house that pulls all those positive ions out of the air, and takes the charge out as well. So.
That's really cool.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Ali was also saying that he was showing me some, the copper bracelets. Most of us are familiar with the copper kind of the copper bracelets that you get.
They kind of dig into
the magnetized ones as well. Like, so they're actually they've been sat on a magnet for a short while or a long while, even and that gives that a magnetic kind of like thing around it. That's supposed to, I've known about them since I was a kid as well, for rheumatism, arthritis, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're really good for osteoporosis as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've got osteoporosis, which is like the bone density reducing. They're really good for that.
Oh. Very good.
That's actually a really good idea, to be honest, using a battery to ground yourself. That's actually ingenious.
It's clever, isn't it?
Yeah. So Dave, now I've been thinking about this as well. I'm all over all this. So Dave can testify. I got loads of stuff up in the workshop that I build electric vehicles and all sorts of stuff. I do
The thing is, to make that, It's literally.
Yeah, Dave, I'll make us all one. I'll make Joe one as well. I'll send it to her in the post if you really want one. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying?
You've got me address, yeah.
Matt, how are you doing? So yeah, what I'm thinking at right now, here's a concept for you, right? Vape, you know, the disposable vapes. And I'm not joking when I say this. Anybody from England here, maybe in the USA as well. But there's so many people that just throw them on the street. They just literally throw them away. I have got, not joking, I've got a big carrier bag full of vapes, old vapes, etc. But they still, you know, there's a way to charge them up as well. So you can actually get the, some of the vapes pens themselves, they come with like a little charger bit on the end of them, you know, so you can plug them in, you can charge them up, etc. So now my idea of thinking is, if I could make like a little unit, which they're generally housed in a little metal box frame, you know what I mean, sort of thing, or some of them come in plastic, etc. So what I'm thinking about doing is I'm going to take the batteries out of the vape pens, and I'm going to, because they're only 3.5 volts as well, so they're not. It's nothing there's nothing enough to shock you or make any damage or anything like that. So now I'm thinking maybe I can use these little discarded devices and repurpose said discarded devices into our practical uses, as in one of these grounding devices. What do you think?
That is interesting. Reuse these batteries and stuff.
I'm all
because like some of them are rechargeable as well. Literally, like your phone is where, like you said, Sam, it's got the connector point at the bottom, and you can put your charging lead in it. Yeah,
exactly. That's it. Yeah, it's not good. I thought that was a good idea, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm going to get onto this, and I can't thank Max and G Sharp from actually exposing this to me and giving me this knowledge, like so. And you've set me off on a little tangent now where I'm going to make like little different devices. I might even, Dave might be more interested. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make you know, like get a cap, you know, so you can make it into the cap. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So so for example, you're not going to be ridiculed or laughed. That doesn't bother me. If anybody knows me anyway, I don't give two hoots what people genuinely don't. I think Joe remembers I was stood on Stoke-on-Trent bus station one time singing the old Pavarotti song, "Just one gone at home."
I do. I've been there on many of occasions where we've all been mocked for one thing and another, and me, Sab, and various other people have just laughed back in response.
Yeah, we do. I don't give two to me. It's one of them. Like, but obviously, I do understand that a lot of people don't have that ability to be like that as well. So what I'm thinking is maybe just go and buy some cheap caps, or up in, you know, like the poker caps, you know, like you get the visor poker caps. Yeah. So it's like it's built into a visor poker cap. You know what I'm saying? And then obviously just put the little battery into the fabric of the band at the back, so it's all connected all as one. That's my little idea of doing that. And to create more of a scientific approach as well. What I'll do is I'll do like a controlled experiment where I'll give these caps away. I'm not going to sell them. I'll give them away, and I'll give them away to various different control groups. So people who don't generally believe in this kind of sort of stuff, and I'll ask for their input back again. That's the only thing I'll ask for them. I'm like, yeah, I've made one of these. You put it on. You say you suffer with headaches. You say you suffer with these certain ailments, maybe rheumatism. I'll put all the rest of that sort of, you know, under all that umbrella of And then I'll say, wear this for a week. Tell me what you think, and tell me what, if any of your ailments are better or any worse. Because it's all good making and doing these kind of things, but if you've already got the perception, it's like what you call pseudoscience.
It's like the placebo effect as well. If you believe it's working, it's gonna work. Whereas if you're a bit more skeptical, then you're more likely to get. Obviously, if you ask the right people who are, like, you know, not idiots, basically, who can critique things in an, I don't mean an academic, educated way. I'm on about, you know, with off answer brain kind of way. You're more likely to get constructive feedback. Yeah,
exactly that. That's what I mean. So it gives it more of a, you know, gives it more of a feedback scientifically, so to speak, as well. And then we'll see what goes on, like. Because I'm part of quite a few different groups, and I'm part of like Matt Walker. He's part of the UK sort of little groups of people as well. Some people in them little groups, they just laugh at it. They just laugh at most of the stuff we're talking about now, and they just be
Oh
like,
yeah, I've been laughed at. I have been laughed at showing this stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
but
not
it
surprised.
works. It works. Hey, thanks for having me up. I'm gonna jump down because this is my morning. I gotta cook breakfast for everyone
yeah.
here.
Thank
But
you
I
very
love
much.
you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good to meet you.
Nice
Thank
to meet
you.
you all, and I'll be back again.
I've made you a mod as
Bye-bye.
well. So drop your link in the chat. So yeah.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Say the universe throws me these nuggets. I don't just need to talk about it. The evidence is there. But yeah, so
Yeah, but more people are waking up to the fact that we are more than our human body. We are more than the physical matter. We're more than that. We're the actual bit that animates our body and strengthening that and actually protecting ourselves against harmful action, as it were. It's just taking time. It just takes time.
thank you, Ali, for dropping the link. And she's still here listening in, so it's all good. Like she's here. And she's just busy doing stuff in the background as well, so that's all good. Like, but right. Anyway, so let's move along. I'll share this one now. I'll present this. What's your thoughts and ideas on this? And there's a reason I say this as well, because I'm currently sat in my boudoir area of the house. And as it goes, and I'm not joking when I actually say this, and I've done it it's kind of done for a reason as well. But the way my bed is set out here actually is in line with a ley line from south. My feet are at the south and my head's at the north here. Yeah, and it's literally you line it up on the compass. You can literally line this up on a compass. So when I'm laid down in bed here, I'm literally laid on a ley line, a natural ley line, which runs. And Dave can, if anybody goes and looks at this as well, Dave lives literally up the road from me. He pretty much lives on this ley line as well, which is probably one of the reasons why we have these connecting energies as well. Like, but yeah, I'm literally in line with this ley line that runs through my town, through England. So let me I'll share this screen, and then it elaborates on it a bit more. Like, it's only 5 minutes.
A ley line is a straight fault line in the Earth's tectonic plates. This is a scientific fact. Through these cracks in the Earth's tectonic plates, the magnetic energies released are very powerful indeed. Many people have claimed to have felt the urge surge up their body, and some have claimed that they have blacked out, as the surge was that powerful. How long have human beings known about ley lines? Our ancestors have known about these ley lines for thousands of years. Every race and culture on this planet has known about these lines, yet everyone had different names for these lines. All we need to do is look at the ancient cultures of Earth. Take the native Indians of the United States. They used to call ley lines spirit lines, and their shamans used to use the electromagnetic energy in these lines to help them contact the spirits. They even designed their medicine wheel on the spirit lines, as they knew these lines followed a straight round line. How did they know about these lines and energies that they give off? The answer is simple. The sky gods told them. In Europe, we were led to believe that the Druids called them mystical lines. In Wales, they use the same name in Eastern countries. They call them dragon lines. We know that Eastern countries called them dragon lines, as the sky gods flew in dragons along these lines. The Aboriginal people of Australia call these lines dream lines, and once again, they claim that this knowledge was passed on to them from the sky gods. The Da Vinci Code was based on Rennes-le-Château in France, which is also on a ley line. It is documented that Alexander the Great was guided by Aristotle to take control of the major dome centers of these intersecting ley lines from dark forces, which is why he put his top general, Ptolemy, to rule Egypt. Interestingly, Cleopatra, the last pharaoh, alongside with both her husbands, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony of Rome, were defeated by the Romans, where they eventually destroyed the biggest library in Alexandria, Egypt, before taking all the knowledge with them, sending us into the Dark Ages. During the medieval times, anyone who had any knowledge of hermetics was designated a heretic and died a horrible death. This held true for whoever knew how to read or write, a heresy, leaving only the royals and the monasteries literate. Throughout history, all the megalithic structures have been strategically built on top of these so-called lines, from the pyramids of Giza to Stonehenge, Notre Dame, Solomon's Temple, Parthenon, Oracle of Delphi, Rennes-le-Château, Ziggurat, the Vatican, DC Capitol, Mecca, Hagia Sophia, Aztec Pyramids, Bermuda Triangle, Coral Castle, Tesla's lab in Shoreham, New York, including all nuclear power plants, military bases, and stadiums, which are also used to harness energies, like giant batteries. Many of these sections where two or more ley lines intersect are marked with obelisks, such as Washington, D.C. Monument, Vatican Courtyard, and Cleopatra's Needle in Central Park. These electromagnetic lines of the Earth are its veins and receive its energies from the sun that connects and affects every living thing on this planet. We are electrical, and our atoms surrounded by electrons, electricity. Greg Braden explains it best by asking us, where does our heart get its electrical capacity from? We are connected to the Earth's electromagnetic fields, and our heart is our battery. Many of our ancient spiritual figures knew of this hidden knowledge and meditated or prayed on these lines, or megalithic centers, which elevated their electrical ores, intellect, and connection to higher self through the activation of the 7 energy centers. Chakras.
I was going to say also known as your chakras, yeah.
Could this in fact be what the golden halos depicted on all spiritual figures throughout history represented? Many of our top intellectual minds, such as Tesla, Einstein, and others, all have something in common. This is, they all at some point have shared that their idea, invention, or formula came to them in a daydream or dream, which is in fact a meditative state of mind. For example, Einstein was very knowledgeable on the physics of Kabbalah, and Tesla became very close with Swami Vivekananda, where through Swami's teachings, realized that his ideas that would come to him in an aha moment were coming from these close interactions with these ley lines, allowing him to access Akashic records. Nikola Tesla, who was born during a terrible thunderstorm and lightning storm, used these ley lines to conduct his famous tower, which would give free energy to all.
So, what's your thoughts on that then?
Yeah, I must admit, ley lines are spiritual points of power. So,
yeah.
As you were saying with the fact, go on.
I was going to say it has been known for a number of years. If you knew anything about ley lines previous to that, like that, a lot of the megalithic structures across the planet. Okay, John. Yeah, a lot of the megalithic structures across ley lines are built along these ley lines, etc. You know, like the pyramids, so on and so forth. Yeah, the Aztecs, the Incas, Göbekli Tepe, so on and so forth. There's loads of them that are actually recorded to be built upon these, and it does beg a question. Like, yeah, does it have that strong of an impact? Are these also connected within the resonances, the fields, the frequencies, etc., etc.? Is it? Are we able to actually tune into it? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Well, not at the moment. We can't tune in at the moment because our physical bodies are too dense to actually pick up the subtle energies. But with recent technology, we are actually coming out of that densification and actually raising ourselves, raising our vibration, raising our awareness. This is what it means by the Great Ascension sort of thing. So your body, your mind, your soul is actually being upgraded with different frequency, different light codes and stuff like that to actually bring your body from the low densification up into higher realms and higher states of consciousness, states of awareness, sort of thing. So, and then you'll be able to perceive these things later on. Because what's actually happened as we've actually come down, we've gone from like fifth, fourth, and into the third dimension, and now we're going to essentially going in. We've hit a rock bottom sort of thing. The next is the second dimension, which is the animal kingdom, mineral kingdom, vegetable kingdom, and then they're to nothing pretty much. But we're basically going up. The way's up now. We have to go up.
Yeah. The only way is up.
Pretty much, yeah.
For you and me now.
Yeah, pretty much. And that is the stuff.
You know what? There's a big thing about that as well. I do it, and I've been doing it without realizing I do it as well. You know what I'm like for listening to tunes, singing tunes, and all of that. I love singing, don't I? Do you know what I mean? So we can do with our throat chakra, right? Which is it's also tied in. Yeah, it's also tied in with apprehension, which is learning and also being able to vocally tune in, basically. Like, do you know what I'm saying? But like I said earlier, like Joe, I love singing. I've always been I'm a singer. I love singing. So maybe that's helped me over the years to like kind of be in this kind of like in this level up here, but a little bit further up because I just. It's resonance. I'm resonating that through my whole body, like, do you know what I'm saying? And I always sing good songs. I don't sing negative songs. I don't listen to all this hip hop current culture where they're singing like demonic. It seems very demonic to me, to be honest with you. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I sing which is very upbeat. It's very positive. It just keeps me going. I don't know. It lifts my mood. We all know that as well. When you're in a bad mood or a sad mood. Why is it most people, and I'd say typically, generally speaking, most people will listen to lower bass frequency sound, like music, sad songs, and that just amplifies that feeling that they're having as well. I personally don't do that. If I'm in a bad mood or if I'm in a sad mood, etc., within them lines, I go off and sing some nice music, some upbeat music, and it genuinely lifts me out of that depressive state, we'll call it, if you want to call it that. It lifts me out of that sadness. It lifts some music itself, and there's lots of stuff out there. Bob Marley and the Wailers. There's Hey Jude from the Beatles. There's Pink Floyd. There's, do you know what I mean? Dark Side of the Moon. Wish You Were Here. There's loads of tunes out there that have like a certain hertz frequency, which
there's Mozart as well. There's obviously a lot of
resonates back in. You resonate, and if you're singing that as well, you're kind of like it's like a mantra. It's like doing a mantra. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Exactly.
So whenever you're singing,
you go on. I'll let you elaborate more on that, Dev, because you know quite a bit about all that and doing that. So you give your on mantras and doing all that sort of stuff like.
And that's the thing with your voice, you are essentially creating these frequencies. Whenever you're singing the vowels, I, E, O, U, A, M, S. If you're actually singing those vowels plus M and S as well. Those vowels vibrate parts of your spinal column. It's like I actually saw Zara. She actually, she's on here somewhere, and she subscribed to my channel. Have a look at IEO. I had a look at one of the things on there, and I wanted to know if you actually got pretty well. How did you feel about it? The thing about it is when you're actually doing that practice, I don't know what it is, but the energy is just so good. I used to do it when I was driving to and from work. I'd take about an hour and a half going towards work. So I used to turn the radio off and just chant mantras as I was doing 60 down the motorway, 60, 70 down the motorway. Just and it was amazing, actually. There's loads of different mantras you can do as well. There's Yod He Vav He. There's Isis. There's Inri, Enri, Onro, Unru, Anra. There's the obvious one, which is Om, that all the Buddhist monks do. And then there's Ba Ra On. So Ba Ra On. And those vibrationary tones vibrate different energy centers in your body, different chakra points, different meridian points, and actually vibrate all the material, all the primary material into actual usable material as well. So yeah. I posted a link further up in chat if you go and have a look at it, and it actually says that it's a document, it's a fact sheet basically about how cats purr. So they're basically generating their own resonance frequency, which relaxes them, it chills them out. Anybody that's got cats, they know this. They're not communicating with you because, you know what I mean? It's like, and you can help them to do that by putting them into a relaxed state as well. When you start stroking them, they start purring, etc. But they do that themselves as well. Like they can sit with each other and they start purring, and their own energy frequencies bounce off each other. Like you were saying, like you get two energy fields, you put them together, it amplifies. That's what they're actually doing there as well. Cats purring is them generating that frequency, that resonance. Frequency, yeah, which makes a lot of sense. Like Ali was saying earlier on that animals do it in the animal kingdom. They create their own frequencies, resonances, etc. It's one way that they can communicate with each other, but it's also like a self-healing. So animals are very much in tune. And when you think about this as well, I did actually watch a documentary sort of thing. It's in a Discord group that I'm in, and I'll go and get the channel name and I'll post it in chat. Cats purrs heal themselves. Exactly that. That's what I'm saying, Bodger. Yeah, exactly that. But it was basically saying now, if animals can do this and we can also do this, that typically means that we're just another animal. But what we've done is through cognitive dissonance, which is basically we've had our thoughts and minds changed on what it is that we are, and how we seem to put ourselves above the animal kingdom, where in actual fact we are still part of that animal kingdom, so to speak, if that makes sense. So if we can actually learn to tune back into these practices, we'll call it, then you can change your life. You can change everything around what it is around you. Do you know what I mean? Like, and like I was saying earlier, this is a perfect example of it, right? Yeah, this is a perfect example of it. For example, myself personally, I literally had to take myself away from Stoke-on-Trent, the area and the people that were there, because all I ever had was like it just felt negative. So much negativity was around me all the time, and that brought me down to that frequency. I was stuck in that frequency a lot of time, and I had this way of thinking, that kind of train of thought. I never believed in what were. Do you know what I mean? It was never compelled me to even think about all this stuff that we do now. It literally took me to remove myself, and then when I did come down here, I always had a thing for the sea. Maybe that's because Stoke-on-Trent is one of the furthest inland points of England away from the sea. Yeah, it is. I grew up in Wigan and so on and so forth. So them are like they're really close. But that also ties in with why did I always want to just be by the seaside? That ties into the Schumann resonance, etc., the natural waves and so on and so. Yeah. And I've always felt so much at ease. We've been down to the beach today. I was down there for about an hour earlier on before I came up here, and me and Betty went for a good stroll for a good half an hour.
we've got. Oh, I got some fantastic things to show you. But yeah, we was collecting. He was collecting stones and rocks and oyster shells, and we was collecting all these sort of things off the beach. And I even got caught out with the waves and that because the tide was going out. But me and Betty skimming stones off the water and that, like, yeah. I was picking up quartz, but the tide caught me out. It literally got me up to my ankle, just to my shins, even like just below my knees, like, and the wave, like, I couldn't pick her up and run away quick enough. Yeah. But like that's sea as an alkaline property, a natural alkaline property, and as soon as you put anything onto your skin, moisturizes anything, like your body can absorb all of them things within 30 seconds to a minute, like you instantly absorb it. So what I've done there is being by the beach and being in the sea, you know what I'm saying? Getting wet and being connected, that's a grounding mechanism, and it's also a way of alkalining my body with the natural seawater, etc. The natural minerals and whatnot that are in that water, they go into you like naturally, like. So yeah, it was a really
you literally touched on the exact word which I was going to say. So the beach, okay, so the water has a higher grounding effect than you would be if you were just on the ground. And also because it's literally sea and then beach, the Schumann resonances have less resistance to actually get to you. So the resonant frequencies are 1.5 times stronger on the seaside than they would be on inland as well. Like, I don't think it's about half a mile or a mile or something as they come in. Then they're actually a lot stronger as they are on the beach as before they actually come in and they meet the buildings and everything else, all the electricals and whatnot. So that's what's happening when you're at the beach. You're able to sort of ingest or take on that energy better, quicker, and easier because there's no impedance, sort of thing. And you, as you were saying, you ground yourself. So with that device earlier, with the grounding, that's good if you're inland. But if you're by the beach or if you're by the park or somewhere and you can actually go on barefoot, you can actually do grounding. Because then you're actually grounding with the earth and you're releasing that positive, like the energy ions actually down into the earth where they should be instead of keeping them.
Yeah, I walk around a lot with no shoes on. I mean, obviously not when it's like snowing and stuff, but when the wet, even in the rain, I will walk around with no shoes on because it's good to be connected to the earth, to the ground, without that interruption of a bit of rubber or whatever your shoes are made of. I do it quite regular.
Hello.
So, like, Sir Spookfest, thank you for joining. I've added you as a mod. Please do share your channel link as well so people can go over and have a look at what you do as well. So, within what he's just said there, what do you think about stones holding energy? Now, I actually found a lovely little piece of sea washed quartz. Look at that. That's beautiful, that is. So, yeah, crystals, they hold a piezoelectricity within them. If you put two quartz crystals, the clear quartz, and you sit in the dark and you rub them together, you'll see a spark coming off them. Now that's called cold electricity. Yeah, so it's kind of like a cold fusion electricity. Now bearing in mind, if that holds a piezoelectricity system within itself, like the way the crystalline structures are held together, etc. You basically, what you do is you get one piece of quartz, bash it into half, make it into two pieces of quartz. One will hold a positive, one will hold a negative, and when you rub them up against each other, you'll see a bright spark in the darkness. It is also said that in ancient Native American cultures, they used to have like what do you call them? Like a rattle, like held in a deer skin, and a white deer skin. And what they do is on an evening when they were doing the dancing around the fire, etc., they would shake these crystals in the rattler, and that would release, and you could see the light coming off it, and so on and so forth. and there's a lot of history behind that as well. Like I'll have to go and dig that out as well. Like so yeah, there's a lot of theories in stones, and not just stones, but mostly crystals and so on and so forth. But not just, I mean, stones as in like the native. I'll go back to the Native Americans, the Indians. They believe that the shamans, etc. They believe that turquoise stone itself is it's a stone that holds significance for rebirth, afterlife, and spirituality, etc., etc. So yeah, if you go and dig into that as well, obviously there must be something in that if they held true beliefs about it, because they were very much in tune with Earth and what we did and how to connect and so forth. Like
So there's also something else as well with the shamanism as well. So let's just say you have a feeling or something which you can you need to basically transfer like the energy from you to this stone so that you're free from it. There is actually a practice known as so you do sand painting, you do something in the earth, you do like a sand painting in the earth, and then you take your stone of choice and you bury it into the ground, and then you wait for a few days, and then you take it out, and then you meditate with that stone. You put it next to you, like, so whatever feeling you want to transfer to that stone, be it fear, guilt, remorse, if it's loneliness or anything like that, you transfer it to that stone. And the energy will actually transfer from you into that stone.
Yeah. It displaces it for you.
Yeah, sort of thing. So yeah, I had that with my ex-missus. Actually, she was a shaman, and she got me to try do this exercise a couple of times. It was quite fun.
So so within that as well, look at this stone I picked up on the beach earlier on. Isn't that beautiful? Like, it looks like an eye, doesn't it?
That's cool.
And that's just like a normal like sediment rock with quartz in the middle of it as well. And look how it is as well, like So look, you can see. I mean, it's been bashed in half. So that was inside. You wouldn't have even known looking at it from the outside of the stone like that. If that had been smashed in half and washed up on the beach as it is, you see it's obviously been recently broken as well. You can tell, right? Look at it. There's a nice and it's a hollow piece of quartz that's in there as well. So it's got sedimentary rock on the inside of it as well, like, and like Dave knows as well. When I moved down here, one of the jobs I actually got was piling and underpinning. I did that for about 3 years, didn't I, Dave? You remember? I was working on it. Yeah, with the concrete and whatnot, like and a lot of the times we would have what's called crush. So it's basically old concrete, etc. They mix up shingle, they mix up all the stuff to go into the concrete to make it as strong as it is. Like the amount of times I've come across things like being spoken here, limestone. We have got so much limestone down on the south coast. There's so much. Like another thing I got really intrigued by and I started digging into was flint. How is flint made? Go and do your research on how flint is actually made. It's a befuddlement, because they say that it was made as a sediment from a gelatinous creature that lived on the seabed, and it would burrow into holes, and then therefore it would die, and eventually, once covered over again with more sediment, that would obviously over the years, over whatever thousands of years, that would turn into flint. Now, that hasn't actually been proven. They say it's a natural, but what actually is flint? Because there's something within that as well. The crystalline structure that it makes up. It's been used for tools across the globe for millennia, since we was so-called quote unquote Neanderthals, cavemen. Honestly, it's so profound to me. Like all these little things, I just don't. Yeah, some answers still haven't been. Some questions still haven't been answered yet about these sort of things. Like. Yeah, blackstone as well. I think we've spoken about.
Obsidian as well. It's sharp
with the black energy. A hagstone. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, hagstone. Yeah, I got look at this. So like, what on earth made that? So like, you're telling me some sort of like that was what's made that stone? How's that been made? Like little animals, little creatures burrowing into the stone over and over and over. You don't find many of these though on the beach like this. And if it was creatures creating that, which I do believe it kind of is, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it isn't, I'm not contesting that, but why is there only so many of them? Is it a certain type of stone? Is it a soft stone? Because listen, it's a proper, you know what I mean? Look, it's a proper stone, it's hard, it's rock solid per se.
Well, the thing is, life on this planet has been evolving for millions and millions of years. And you're actually experiencing,
very close.
Like you're actually experiencing everything that's actually like been alive, been going, and then been killed off, and then been alive again, and then been killed off, and then alive.
I can hold this up, and I can see through some of the. I can see straight through some of these holes. They go all the way through when I hold this up to the light, especially that back bit. It's like more of a face on this side than it is that side. See. But when I hold it this side, looking into it from my end, like looking through it this way, I can see a lot of the holes there are going all the way through. I can see the light through it. So, but yeah, it's very intriguing, some of this stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I did prep a little bit. I was down at the beach earlier collecting some stuff just to talk about on our show.
I do like collecting rocks. I've got quite, because I do a lot of hiking, as you know, Sab, and I always come back with a rock or a stone of some description, and I can tell you I've got hundreds of them, and I know exactly where each one is from, which beach, which mountain, which hillside, which riverside, wherever I've got it from, I know where they're all from.
Yeah, I've heard that before, Zara. Who's that guy who goes on down the beach quite a lot? And he put a warning saying, if you come across one of these stones, be very careful. Trypophobia. But yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah. We have done some hiking together, Joe. You remember that time? There was me, you, Angie, Dan, Nikki. We all went down to Weymouth, didn't we? From Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah, we did, yeah. And we walked a hell of a distance in that.
Yeah, that was a good old journey. That was like, even some of us were like, we were almost compelled to stay down there as well. Like, so, but
yeah. I've still got equipment from when we went down there, and I will that's 20 years ago now. It's a long time ago, but yeah, still got equipment holding out, still using it, still going strong, and I've still got rocks from down there as well.
I tell people about that mission because bloody hell, we took people totally, they were completely naive to it as well. Like, we had to look after them. Like, that was like an orienteering skill session, that was, and it was over 3 or 4 days. Oh my no. Oh, there's one for you, George. Do you remember when we was at Gloucester Docks and I went fishing and I got the crabbit line and I dropped the crab. I've told people this story before. Like, some people don't even believe me. Like, yeah. But I was, what I'd done was I had some ragworm from when we were down at Weymouth. I'm not where it was. Do you remember? Yeah. And what I did was I dropped the ragworm. I had it on a big hook, big sea fishing hook, and I dropped it in on like a crabbing line. So it was a nice strong line. And I started pulling, and it was something really heavy on the end. And I was like, what the hell am I pulling up here? Like, I thought it was a boot or an old tire or something like that. Now we're talking about the canal docks in Gloucester, which is adjacent to the Severn. Is it the Severn Trent? Is it the Severn Trent River? I can't remember, but there's a river right next to it. Yeah, it's where the Gloucester Docks stops and meets the river adjacent to it. And I remember we was walking through town, and the coppers actually said to us, because they were like, "Well, are you camping?" And we're like, "Yeah, where can we go?" And they were like, "Oh, go down to that gypsy field down there." Like, which was we walked past the Gloucester Docks. So the next day, I went over to the Gloucester Docks and I started fishing on there, so to speak. And I'm not joking. Like I said, I thought I was pulling up an old tire or a welly or something like it was dead heavy, stuck to the bottom. Turns out, catfish. Catfish's head was like this big. It was massive. Tentacles coming off its head. And I'm not joking. That thing was about 8 foot long.
Yeah.
That fish was about 8 foot long. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating when I say that as well. And just as I'm pulling it up and getting its head out of the water, 2 security guards came over and they were like, "You can't fish here, put it back, you can't fish here." Because they basically took all the old mills around it, all the Victorian mills.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Turned them into apartment blocks, etc.
Maybe the Jones well, I just have to do it like later.
Yeah.
12:30.
Midday. Yeah. Fantastic.
I used to do as well, Zara. I used to collect rocks. I used to have like in my bedroom on a shelf. I had all different crystals and all different kind of rocks and everything. I've always been mad for it. I've loved it. But I do believe that the old sort of significance, the old powers, the old like energies, and etc. Like so, yeah, it's quite good actually. Like move that bag of shells and rocks over there. Right. Anyway, let me share something else while we're at it. So we're talking, obviously, I mean, the main theme obviously here is like our frequencies and etc. Right. So what do you think of this, guys? Let me just drop the link as well. So if anybody wants to join, feel free, jump up here. I'll just pop this link in the chat here for you. Paste. There we go. I'll share. Anybody likes to join, that'd be very good. Any input, any extra would be fantastic here. So, right, let me just present and share this screen. And this dates back way before any of this as well. What's your thoughts on this? Here we go.
Let me try and show you how we get some of these sounds. First of all, none of them exist as a particular sound as they would on an electronic organ. There's no magic button marked trumpet or violin or drums. You have to build every sound. And to start to build these sounds, you have to start with something pretty simple. And here are the simple things we start with. There are 5 of them. The simplest one of all is something that any lab technician must have seen at one time or another. It's called a sine wave. It's very smooth, very flute-like. A bit more complicated wave is called sawtooth. And it's called sawtooth because on an oscilloscope screen, it looks just like a sawtooth. And this one is a little richer, a little reedy. It resembles a lot of sounds found on home electronic organs. Something in between those last 2, and a very useful sound indeed, is something called triangular, and it's kind of a pointed sine wave. So you can see it's a little brighter than a sine wave. This one's called pulse wave, and I'm just going to show you how it swings into a thing called square wave. It's up, down, just like a switch. If you flip a switch, you're making a pulse wave. If it's an even off, on, then it looks on an oscilloscope very symmetrical, and it's called a square wave. And if I take the time that it's on and make it different from the time that it's off, it changes quality. Listen to it. It shifts interior. It's a very useful sound. The last of which is probably the least useful, although you'd never want to be without it. It's very colorful, very coloristic. In its pure form, it sounds like surf or a steam sound. It's called white noise. Now I'll patch this up here into one of my output modules and try and show you how with these primitive sounds, we start to get some very musical sounding things. First of all, here's a sawtooth wave that's coming out of an oscillator, going into a mixer, coming up into what's called a filter, which is going to remove parts of the sound, either the top or the bottom part, much like bass and treble controls do on your, high fidelity system. And by hitting a note on the keyboard now, I'm connected up, so I'll hear that one sound. It's a very low sound. It's very bright. If I manually turn this knob, you'll listen to the sound get considerably duller. Here it gets very dull down here. It's very bright here. Instead of doing this manually, I can do it automatically with what's called an envelope generator. It generates the envelope being this type of motion that I'm shaping the tone with. So I'll do it this way. And that can be speeded up till we almost start hearing a plucked string. If we turn that around and make it open up instead of closing, it does this, which was quite a surprise when I first heard it.
Like it.
Has almost a trumpet-like quality or trombone quality in this range. Let's show you how one of these sounds might be.
This is how synthwave was started.
Okay, we're in
all the
tune. Everything
synthesizers
sounds like it's about right. I'll start
It
the
is. This is the Moog
track.
synthesizer. It actually got turned into like a device, like a keyboard synthesizer. They actually turned it into that. Some people actually do make. Look, see. Yeah, there you go. It's more compact one. And a lot of people started making music on it and stuff like that. No, isn't that interesting? You see, so they've been playing around with this sort of stuff since like it's early 60s, 70s. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, but
They've been doing it for decades. It's just we didn't know about it until maybe in the last 10 years or so.
No, Dave, doesn't that just tie in with the hemisync?
Yeah, of course it does, because that's exactly what happened. So obviously, once synthesizers was made, they were like, oh, okay, so how does the frequencies actually affect our brain? And then the hemisync with the frequencies, the low end frequencies, and they actually found out that people's brain waves were actually registering, and it was actually changing consciousness at certain frequencies, and certain frequencies would do certain things. So in the 1950s, there was a machine that was used to essentially what it would do is it would beam a frequency. They would have like a wand thing, and it would be like a frequency generator, and it would beam this frequency in like a wand sort of thing. And yeah, it did all kinds of cool stuff. Like it would heal cells, it would actually do all kinds of things. And mysteriously, the machine disappeared, and everything kind of got shut down and swept under the rug for certain reasons. And yeah, so this is how powerful the actual frequencies were at that point. Because yeah, and it's only been recently, because of all the advancements in technology and everything else that's been going on in the world, that we've been able to have access to this kind of technology, because we've got to a point now where intellectually and technologically we have to, this technology has to come out, because we can't advance without it. If you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
We can't advance without it. So
Yeah, totally. Like, yeah, so that kind of all ties in. Ali's just brought a very, very good. I never thought of that before as well. That's a very good thing. I'm going to dig into that myself as well. Like, but yeah, maybe church organs, etc. They were used to create frequencies, etc. So I mean, think they've got a real deep. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And
the resonance
and also
from.
Right.
The
now, this is
will actually affect the heart, the brain, and the actual feeling. Is why when you're at a music concert, when you're standing behind a speaker and stuff like that, and it's hitting you in the face, and it's those frequencies at a high enough power which will actually it will hit you. But there are certain frequencies that actually, when you point them and focus them in a certain point, they actually heal DNA. They actually release certain toxins. They actually vibrate certain organs. It's like brown noise. Everybody knows about brown noise, because what happens with brown noise, you play it and you crap yourself. Your bowels evacuate and literally everything comes out, and you're like, okay, I didn't realize that. But that is the essential technique. So if that can affect your bowels and evacuate your bowels, what other frequencies are there, and what can they do, and what do they affect?
Yeah, they'll affect your organs and stuff in your brain.
So here's one for you that actually goes within what Ali's just said. I did actually watch some a couple of years ago, which touches upon the subject that she's just said there. Right. So churches and temples were actually frequency resonance temples. You put the frequency in there. You put like you made a and that noise would then bounce around the actual temple or the structure of the actual church building itself and resonate back into you, like So they weren't just places of worship; they were places that that people went into. That's the choir, that's the the singing, and maybe then later on, like you say, the organ was then introduced into there to produce these frequencies and resonances as well. Like so
with the chant, as you say, with the temples, so what would happen is a group of monks would sit there and they would literally chant Om, and then that resonance from every single monk in that place would actually resonate the entire building, and it would actually generate this energy sort of thing, as you say, the toroidal energy, and as it was being created.
That's just incredible. Now, what is the actual purpose of this? Now, this is where we are really getting confused about ancient technology. First of all, we don't know how they accomplished this. Even though they look alike, everything looks the same. And if you claim this is accidental, ancient builders should not have figured out this is a special stone. In fact, they had it marked, which means this was done intentionally. This is not accidental, okay? Ancient builders knew exactly what they were doing.
Also in talking about ancient technology and stuff, there used to be sound rooms. So ancient sound rooms used to actually resonate at a certain frequency as well to actually give you healing over a period of time.
I love Praveen. I've watched so much stuff on Praveen Mohan and his findings in India and all the rest of it, because there's so much stuff out there. It defies logic of us. Yeah, honestly, proper defies logic about what we've been told about our history and what we knew previously. There was so much in tune with what they were doing. I saw a video the other day about the Aborigines, how they use a didgeridoo. When they use the didgeridoo, you can literally you can pick up rocks at the end of the didgeridoo and move them as you're using it, and then stop and it drops the rock. So there you go. There's another form of sound frequency.
Quantum locking.
Yeah,
quantum locking, and they've proved it by using sound to levitate objects. They've proved it. There are even adverts about it.
Yeah. So I think Seth Spiritfest, he's part of the Discord group that I'm with as well. He's seen a few of these as well. Yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah. There's loads of, like, obviously they had all this as well. There was another one I watched as well where it was showing how the ancient Egyptians. Sorry, hang on a minute. She's terrorizing me to play Roblox, and I'm like, no, I don't think so, not yet. Anyway, so yeah, there's pictorials and scriptures within the walls of ancient Egyptians where they had a resonance, a frequency levitation device, and it shows you all the pictures around it where it was like the device. He would hold it, he'd have the power in one hand, and he was holding the device in another hand, and this device would actually pick up like megaton stones and move them, like, so that maybe that's another theory behind how they actually built all the pyramids and various other megalithic structures that are across the planet, etc. So yeah, it's very right. So going straight back to what we were just talking about there with the churches, etc., and the resonating frequencies, I'll just share this video for you quickly as well, so you can have a little touch on this as well.
Hello, everybody. Back for another video, and today I'd like to talk about churches and I'm going to be doing a little series on churches and this concept of churches as being machines and generating frequencies. So I was looking into cymatics, which is just the study of geometric patterns created by sound vibrations or
Which is what we did last week.
featuring this woman, Tanya Harris, and I believe she's based in London, and she's studying cymatics. And one of her experiments was to go into 4 separate churches, and they're called Hawksmoor churches because there was an architect by the name of Nicholas Hawksmoor, and I believe he was the chief architect for about 6 different churches in London. But she went into 4 of these churches, and she recorded the resonant frequencies in those churches. And then what she did was apply those frequencies to water, and it formed these specific patterns. So each church, or well, what we're told are churches, each church has its own unique resonant frequency. I mean, to me, that is really interesting. So, you know, our body is apparently 60% water, and specifically our brain is 73%.
That's what, yeah. So we were
and the heart as well, 73%. So just being in that structure is having quite an effect. Yeah, so the study of cymatics reveals that sound vibrations excite matter in geometric forms. She placed the water inside a loudspeaker and then applied those frequencies to it. And that's how
why do we have holy water?
She noticed these particular cymatic patterns. So, inspired by Alvin Lucier, a music composer in the 60s, who discovered a technique to record the resonant frequencies of the space. So she began by recording the silence of each church for approximately 7 minutes. Then she played that recording of that back in the church and recorded that. And then she just repeated the process over and over again until the resonance of the space became audible, causing each church to reverberate, generating a physical experience of resonance. But if anyone gets inspired, this seems like something very doable. So definitely check this.
Fancy going up to
check
London?
This website out. This is it just kind of proves that these things
sound bath, coincidentally,
are most likely machines, and they're producing an internal resonance that in turn is affecting you. Now, I don't personally know what effect is that having on the human body, but there's definitely going to be an effect.
I am 2.0, yeah. Sad you're on mute.
I'll try again. Anyway, I'll stop it there. But I'm going to be in London tomorrow because I'm going up to Stoke-on-Trent tomorrow. I'm going to go up to Utah to see Littleton tomorrow. So, hey, Dave.
I'm actually going to a sound bath tomorrow. Exactly, in London tomorrow. I'm driving up there.
Hey, come on then. We're going on a road trip. See, now that's the privilege we have, Dave. We're literally 60 miles away from London. We're 60 miles south of London here. We're not far away at all. We're about an hour away in the car, aren't we? You know what I mean?
You guys are really close to London.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So we have that privilege of being able to go and visit these sites and actually go and put this into practice and actually find out. And actually, as you saw last week, I've been making the cymatics machines already as well. So we can genuinely maybe even go and take a sample of this water, etc., and see what's going on. You know, like when you freeze it, you put it under the microscope, you see what different structures that the water is making, etc. Man, we can literally go a little bit wild with this. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, we can actually show some proper evidence of all of this going on. Right? Yeah. But like I said, that tickled me a couple of years. I've seen that's not. I think it was either that video or one very similar to it. But that tickled me a little bit. I was in thinking, yeah, because it was about the what's that Japanese guy who does the experiments, and he did the experiments with water, and you put two vials next, like one you speak good words into, I love you, you are good. Do you know what I mean? And he froze that water, and it came out with such a beautiful pattern. And he did the same sort of test with a different test of water, a different sample of water, and he would say bad things to it, like "you are disgusting, you are horrible," and then he would freeze that, and it came out with such a weird and you know what I mean, unbeautiful to our eye. Anyway, it would come out with a totally different structure the way he froze it. Like that's what caught my attention with that video I've just shared there as well. Like, which is obviously it touches upon how so that leads me into basically saying, so if you are in these certain temples and you consume or put onto yourself these waters and this holy water, is that having an effect on you?
Yes, it does. It should do.
Yeah, because like I said, you have all your skin will absorb whatever you put onto it within a minute. Literally within a couple of minutes, you can absorb it into your, and that goes straight into your body, into your system, throughout your whole system. Like, yeah.
Anyway, I need to go, so I'm gonna have to crack on.
Yeah, I'm gonna. You know what? I think I'm. Yeah, how long have we been on there? We've been on for a good couple of hours now, haven't we? Like, so. Yeah, I think we'll call it there, and we'll. It's been fantastic having you on, and everybody in chat as well. Thanks for all your input, etc. It's been really, really good having you all here. And let's just keep this going. I shall do another Sunday session next week as well.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody was in a good session, guys. Been a really good session.
You've got a week, peeps. Sir Spookfest. I know he's really good for all of this sort of stuff as well, and he also does what we do. What I'm doing is also give the evidence, give the links, and give the citations for your own benefit of going searching into all of this as well. You know, so we're not just talking crap about all this. This is actually proven. It's, you know what I mean? It's out there. The knowledge is out there. If you go digging into this, you'll end up in little rabbit holes you never thought you'd end up into, which is fantastic.
It's not like I said, the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I can't thank you both enough for being on here and hosting with me. That is, it feels so much better than just being here prattling on myself. It really does. Like,
yeah, it's a bit odd when you're doing a live stream and it's just you. I do it, and it's really weird just talking to the comments or just talking to yourself. It's very odd. Yeah,
that's why I put it out there for you. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's
But
I noticed Dave's
no problem.
Dave's been I've seen Dave's been scribbling down loads of information.
I've been doing that.
He's on it. He's on it. I know he's on it. He loves all this sort of stuff as well. Like, it expands and it broadens the mind and the perspective. Like, so yeah, thank you all for being here. And if you also do lives, you know what to do. Come and get me over. Tell me what the subjects and topics are. I'll go and grab loads of information and so on and so forth, and links. I'll get loads of tabs up on the bloody screen like I do pre-hand to the actual, and we'll sit down in the backstage and we'll chat before we go, and we know what we're talking about. You know what I mean? We'll set it all up in that way. Yeah, Dave, obviously, you know, same goes to you. Joe, same. Get me on the TikTok thing, Joe, and we'll do some TikToks.
When I make some TikToks in a bit, I'm going to make some more tonight. So what I'll do is I'll screen record what I'm doing so that you can see me tapping and all that sort of stuff. And next time I do a live stream will be, I might do one tomorrow night. So again, I'll screen record some of it for you. And I'll send you some like very basic instructions. It's like YouTube. The more you do it, the better you get at it, if that makes sense. But yeah, you'll be amazing on TikTok, Sab. Yeah,
never used it, so you know, that's a whole new genre to me, using the TikTok. So we'll get on to it.
Just takes practice. That's all it takes. The more you do it, then you'll notice it's like making YouTube videos. The more you make, the better your formats get.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. Thank you. And
No problem.
get me onto yours, and we'll elaborate more, and we'll expand, and we'll get more people. We'll get these groups going a bit further, etc. Do you know what I mean? What I'll also do is as well, because a lot of this stuff that I get and I'm using is like links, etc. I'm getting from one of my Discord groups that I'm part of, and there's some fantastic stuff in there. Like I said, rabbit hole upon rabbit hole upon rabbit holes down there. You can get lost. You can genuinely get lost in the labyrinths of rabbit holes down there. So I'll grab that link for Barry Stepp's channel, and I'll post it in the comment section down here for you all, so you can we can all join on, like so. But anyway, thank you all for being here. Thank you, and until next week.
Take care, guys. Stay safe. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.